What happens to a warship once the noise is gone? When the explosions fade, the ocean doesn't rush in, it settles. Deep beneath the surface, HMS Hood lies sealed in darkness, her corridors untouched, her objects unmoved. This film doesn't chase the moment of loss. It explores the silence that followed and what time began to erase. This is HMS Hood, not as a legend, but as a physical place. Steel bulkheads curve where blast forces once traveled. Rivets remain seated, armor plates bent but unmoved. Inside, corridors narrow, doors freeze half open, and tools hang exactly where they were left. Nothing drifts, nothing floats. The ship reveals herself not through motion, but through what has remained fixed, each compartment confirming her identity through structure, scale, and silence. This is the ship as a complete interior world, settled into its new state. Passageways stretch into darkness without movement. Machinery stands silent, gauges frozen mid-reading. Medical rooms, storage bays, and workspaces remain intact, coated evenly in silt and rust. Nothing here feels abandoned in haste. Instead, the ship appears finished, every compartment balanced by gravity and pressure. The chaos of loss has passed. What remains is a vessel reshaped by stillness, held together by time and depth. One year after the sinking, the ship reveals a different kind of evidence, not destruction, but stillness. Inside HMS Hood, objects have not drifted or scattered. They have stayed. Beds remain bolted to the deck. Tools hang from their brackets. Dishes sit where they were last placed. Boots rest side by side, pressed into the sediment. Nothing floats. Nothing rolls. Every item obeys gravity, pressure, and enclosure. These are not artifacts preserved by intention. They are preserved by conditions. The compartments are sealed enough to slow currents to near zero. Without flow, there is no force to rearrange the past. Dust settles evenly. Rust forms quietly. Fabric sags but does not travel. Even the light from the ROV reveals layers of particles suspended in place, as if motion itself has been delayed. Each compartment tells a different role through what remains fixed. An officer's cabin defined by a desk and a photograph frame, a mess space anchored by bolted chairs and silent cutlery, a medical bay where a stretcher never moved. These spaces were not frozen in a single moment of panic, but gradually locked into balance. What makes this stillness unsettling is not what is missing, but what refuses to move. The ship has stopped behaving like a wreck in motion and begun behaving like an enclosed environment, one where time advances, but position does not. The objects are no longer waiting to be disturbed. They have already settled into their final arrangement. This is how the ocean keeps memory, not by preserving life, but by preventing motion. Nothing here remains still by chance. Inside HMS Hood, most compartments are enclosed enough to block strong water exchange. With no sustained current, there is no force to push, lift, or rearrange objects. Gravity takes over, sediment settles evenly, corrosion progresses slowly and uniformly. Even fine particles hang suspended for long periods before drifting down. What looks like preservation is actually balance, an environment where motion has been reduced to nearly zero, allowing the ship to remain exactly as it settled. ship is not frozen in time. It is changing slowly, quietly, and without movement. Inside HMS Hood, transformation happens at a chemical pace. Fabrics lose strength as fibers separate. Leather stiffens, then cracks. Paper fades until words dissolve into pale stains. Wood absorbs water, swelling and weakening from within. Metals respond differently. Thin alloys pit and soften, while heavy steel corrodes evenly, retaining its shape long after other materials fail. Nothing collapses all at once. Change here is incremental. Paint lifts in thin layers, rubber hardens and fractures, glass clouds and weakens, but remains seated in its frame. Even machinery does not break dramatically. Lubricants thicken, gears seize, and systems slowly lock into place. What defines this process is restraint. Because the environment is enclosed and still, deterioration unfolds without displacement. Objects do not travel as they decay. They remain where they settled, recording time through texture rather than motion. This is how the ocean reshapes a warship, not with force, but with patience. Not everything on the ship will endure equally. The first things to disappear are the lightest and most fragile. Paper loses its structure and dissolves. Thin fabrics break down into fibers. Leather dries, cracks, and collapses. Soft woods weaken from within, long before steel shows visible change. Labels fade, threads fail. Small personal items vanish quietly beneath sediment. What survives longest are the heaviest forms, thick steel frames and structural elements that resist time measured in years, not moments. In the end, HMS Hood is no longer a story of motion or loss. She exists as a single, suspended moment beneath the sea corridors, sealed, objects settled, time slowed to near stillness. The ocean does not remember the noise. It keeps the silence,